What is up? It is I, your Lord Octopussy, and I'm here with my second part to my fan-made health update for Dead by Daylight. In this one, we're talking about survivor changes. We're going to be going over a base kit survivor changes, changes to the items and add-ons, and then changes to the perks. So let's get started. So onto the general changes for survivor, or the base kit changes. So the first thing, as a survivor, whilst you're in lobby, is you will be able to hover over other survivors' names in the lobby and you'd be able to see their loadout, which, is perks, items, add-ons, and offerings. So, might help you coordinate a little better as well. You can hover over and see, oh, they're running BT, oh, they're running DS, oh, they're running Dead Hard, oh, they're running the other meta perks. Or maybe they're running something funky and think, okay, this is the play they want to do. So you see a teammate with power struggle and flip-flop, you think, okay, they're trying to go for that play, I'm not going to bother rescuing them under a pallet, because I know they have power struggle flip-flop. So that's step one in terms of balancing. And then I think in terms of balancing as well, having all survivors spawn in the trial together instead of being able to spawn completely apart or in 2-2 groups, again, it just makes things easier to balance. It makes map balance a bit easier as well, because you think like, oh, well, they all spawn together. It's not like they'd have to work to spread on gens, basically. And the next thing is, if a killer remains 10 meters or less from a hook survivor for too long, I don't know what the exact number is yet, but if they remain too close to a survivor for too long, the hook progression timer slows down by 33%. This is just more of a way of punishing camping, in my opinion. And to hopefully be able to prevent tunneling is a base kit BT. Now, they've already discussed a base kit borrow time in one of the dev streams. I think once you are unhooked, whether it's for yourself or whether it's for a teammate, you gain the endurance status effect and lose collision for 12 seconds. This prevents it from being abused to body block after being unhooked, and solely works as an anti-tunneling mechanic. And killer can't block you, they can't just wait out the BT because you can run straight through them. On that line of sort of balance, items and all of their variants have unique models and textures. This should just help you be able to figure out, oh, he's running instead of running an emergency aid kit, he's just running a camping aid kit, for example. And for the last sort of general change, survivors will have icons on their portrait from the survivor side to indicate what they're doing, whether they're being chased, whether they're working on a generator, cleansing totems, etc, etc. It's helping bridge that gap between comms and non-comms. And speaking of bridging the gap between comms and non-comms, give us a ping system. So you'd have a button, press an assigned button, which is your ping button, and you could ping your position, an objective, or the killer's location, or any aura that you could see to you, the rest of your teammates. Pinging has a 5-second cooldown, and if you ping the killer's location, or ping the killer's aura, the killer will be able to see the aura of all other survivors. So now we're going to rework the luck system, or the luck thing. So I kind of like what luck does now, where it gives you an extra chance to unhook yourself, but I think it needs to do more than that. So luck now affects the rarity of items that you find in chests, as well as the probability of those items having add-ons. Luck can also confer random buffs during the trial, in the form of either a blood point multiplier, or a bonus beneficial status effect when you're afflicted with a negative status effect. And each survivor starts the trial with 4 luck, or 4%, I suppose, whatever you want to call it. And now we'll be going on to Boon Totems. So Boon Totems have been a point of contention for quite a while. This is still a base kit change. So, apologies for the chair noises. I also noticed actually in my last video. Boon Totems, these ideas are taken from someone called Mazagati on Reddit. So credit to him, and I'll show the picture now of what he made up. But I'm going to expand and tweak it a little bit. So there's 5 totems on the map, and they can only be blessed once. Or more importantly, like one at a time. So once you've blessed a totem, you cannot then re-bless another totem until it's snuffed. When the killer snuffs a Boon Totem, the totem is broken. However, any survivor can remake the totem with a 5-second remake totem interaction, which creates, shocker, a remade totem. Remade totems do not work with perks that require the cleansing of a dull or hex totem, such as inner healing, counter force, or clairvoyance. Remade totems can be re-blessed at a 50% decreased speed, which will take about 21 seconds, and if a rebuilt totem is snuffed, then it's broken permanently. If you bless a hex totem, that creates a warped totem. Warped totems no longer emit sound to the killer, but warped totems also possess both the effects of the original hex totem and the applied Boon Totem within its 24-meter radius, and it also unlocks an additional map-wide effect for Boon Totems. Survivors can cleanse warped totems and killers can snuff a warped totem, and if the warped totem is cleansed or snuffed, it's permanently destroyed and can't be rebuilt. So along these lines, we're going to have to change a couple of the current boon perks to work with this new thing. So Circle of Healing, we're going to rebuff it, because obviously now it's more limited. We can rebuff it to once again 100%. I should actually just read the whole thing. It unlocks the self-care ability, allowing you to heal without needing a medkit, and increases altruistic healing speed without a medkit by 100% when within 24 meters of the totem. This effect lingers for 4 seconds after leaving the Boon Totem's range. When Boon Circle of Healing is applied to a Hex Totem, it creates a Warped Totem, which unlocks a self-care ability to all survivors within the trial at a 50% reduced healing speed. Shadow Step hides your aura and scratch marks within 24 meters of the Boon Totem. This effect lingers for 4 seconds after leaving the Boon Totem's range. Boon Shadow Step, when Boon Shadow Step is applied to a Hex Totem, it creates a Warped Totem, which suppresses all loud noise notifications in the trial. Boon Exponential increases your recovery speed by 100% and allows you to fully recover the dying state within 24 meters of the totem. This lingers for 4 seconds after leaving the Boon Totem's range. When Boon Exponential is applied to a Hex Totem, it creates a Warped Totem, increasing the recovery speed and healing speed of all survivors in a dying state by 100%. And we have Dark Theory, gain the 2% haste status effect when within 24 meters of the totem. This effect lingers for 4 seconds after leaving the Boon Totem's range. When Boon Dark Theory is applied to a Hex Totem, it becomes a Warped Totem, which increases the vaulting speed of all survivors in the trial by 5%. So overall, it's a system that makes the boons a bit more of a tactical choice and a much more limited choice, which I think is pretty cool. Warped totems as well, as strong as they may sound, entirely relies on the killer bringing in a hex totem, and if you use a warped totem, the killer should theoretically know where it is anyway, because they should know where their hex totems are, because they could read their auras all the time. And just as a side note, totems rebuilt by Pentimento will count as a rebuilt totem. And finally, we can now move on to items, and for the items, I have decided that there should at least be one of each item in every rarity, mainly to also aid with the whole new progression and bloodboard system that I put out earlier, so that once you're level 10 you can at least buy a common variant of any item that you want. I think it's pretty decent. So we're going to be starting off with maps, the least problematic of them all, and we're going to start off with the common battered map. The battered map can track any of the following objects: generators within 8 meters, and generators revealed by a detective's hunch. The battered map lasts for 60 seconds. And we have the common dried map. The dried map can track any of the following objects: generators within 8 meters, generators and totems revealed by a detective's hunch. The battered map lasts for 50 seconds. Then we have the rare normal map, or the one that we already have in the game. You start the trial with one generator tracked. The map tracks any of the following objects: generators within 8 meters, generators, chests, and totems revealed by detective's hunch. The map lasts for 40 seconds. And then we can move on to the very rare detailed map. Start the trial with 3 generators tracked. The detailed map tracks any of the following objects: exit switches and generators within 8 meters, generators, chests, and totems revealed by a detective's hunch. The detailed map lasts for 30 seconds. And then we go on to the ultra rare rainbow map. You start the trial with 3 generators and 3 random objects tracked. The rainbow map can track any of the following objects: exit gate switches, generators, and the hatch when you come within 8 meters, generators, chests, totems, hatch, exit gate switches, lockers, hooks, window vaults, and pallets revealed by any means. And the rainbow map lasts for 20 seconds. And now we're going to move on to the add-ons. The first common add-on is Frayed Twine, which starts the trial with 1 random object tracked. The common instruction piece starts the trial with 1 extra generator tracked. The common Taunt Note reveals the auras generated by the map to survivors within 10 meters. The map addendum remains exactly the same. Moving on to uncommon, we go to the Yellow Wire, which increases the duration of tracked auras. Increase the duration tracked auras remain visible by 3 seconds. The Unusual Stamp increases the map's tracking range by 12 meters. The Retardant Jelly adds 10 seconds of use to the map. The Red Twine acts exactly the same as it does before. And the Glass Bead also acts the same as it does before. And now moving on to the rare add-ons, we have Fresh Ink, which unlocks the ability to track chests and lockers. Tinted Bead unlocks the ability to track window vaults and pallets. Spectral Jelly allows items tracked on other survivors' maps to be tracked by your map. Odd Stamp unlocks the ability to track totems and exit gate switches. And the rare Black Silk Cord is exactly the same as before. And so is the very rare Crystal Bead. And finally, for ultra rare we have Auric Ink. which unlocks the ability to track survivors. Survivors who are being tracked can see your aura. And now we're going to move on to keys. We're going to start off with the common makeshift key. Must be equipped with add-ons to unlock its aura reading abilities. Must be charged by standing in the kill's terror radius for 20 seconds. Aura reading abilities can be used for 30 seconds. And on the uncommon we have the old key handle. Must be equipped with add-ons to unlock its aura reading abilities. Aura reading abilities can be used for 20 seconds. And then we go on to the rare broken key. Could read the aura of hatch. Aura reading abilities can be used for 30 seconds. The very rare dull key can read the aura of hatch, can be used to open the hatch. Aura reading abilities can be used for 15 seconds. And finally we have the ultra rare skeleton key, could read the aura of the hatch, can be used to open the hatch. Aura reading abilities can be used for 30 seconds. And now we're going to go on to key add-ons. First is the Crow's Eye, which unlocks the ability to reveal the auras you see to other survivors within 8 meters. The Taped Stem decreases the time taken to open my hatch by 0.5 seconds. The Lucky Charm increases the amount of blood points earned in any score event by 100%. Gain 100% bonus blood points at the end of the trial after escaping with this add-on. And for the last common we have the Prayer Rope, which increases the passive charge rate of keys by 50%. Now moving on to the uncommon add-ons, Glass Doll reveals your aura to other survivors within 32 meters. The Scratched Pearl increases all aura reading range by 20%. Uncommon Prayer Bead allows the keys to be passively charged while standing in the killer's terror radius while not being chased. And the uncommon Eroded Token unlocks the ability to hide your aura. The rare Key Head unlocks the ability for the key to be consumed to open a closed hatch if not depleted of charges. Reduces charges by 50%. The rare Weaved Ring, while being healed or healing survivors around you in an 8 meter radius, will be passively healed at a 50% conversion rate. The rare Milky Glass reveals the auras of a random killer belonging every 60 seconds at the expense of 5% of the key's energy. The Unique Redding Ring unlocks the ability to reveal the auras of other survivors in 32 meters, reveals the aura of the obsession at all times without needing to channel the key's energy, does not work if the key has no energy, lowers the odds of being the obsession. And the rare Gold Token increases the duration of the key's energy to 30 seconds. And then onto the very rare add-on is Blood Amber, unlocks the ability to reveal the aura of the killer within 28 meters while also revealing your aura to the killer, increases the key's depletion rate by 100%. And finally we have the Iridescent Gem, unlocks the plant key action. Press the active ability button to plant the key into the ground. The key can no longer be picked up once planted. After planting the key, press the active ability button to teleport to the planted key. Teleporting to the planted key destroys it. Now we're moving on to flashlights, and actually flashlights themselves have actually had a couple of base kit changes. So blinded killers will completely lose their collision and are unable to use their power or abilities. All completely gets cancelled and shut down. And whenever you click a flashlight, there's a 1 second short cooldown, which is mainly to prevent a strobe effect that could trigger people with photosensitive epilepsy. And you could use flashlights to blind other survivors, because we do love to do a bit of trolling. That being said, we're going to go on to the new common flashlight, or sorry, the common used flashlight, which has a battery life of 10 seconds. The normal flashlight has a battery life of 15 seconds, and this includes all of its event-based variants. The sport flashlight has an increased aim accuracy of 20%, increased beam reach of 25%, and a decreased beam width of 15%, and has a battery life of 8 seconds. The utility flashlight remains exactly the same as before, but it does have a battery life of 10 seconds. And finally, the new Ultra Rare Vigos flashlight has a decreased beam brightness of 20%, decreased blindness duration by 10%, reduced aim accuracy of 10%, and an increased beam width of 15%. Vigos flashlight has unlimited duration. So, with the add-ons, we're starting off with the common wide lens, which is exactly the same as before. The power bulb will extend the beam reach of the flashlight by 10% and increases the blindness duration of the flashlight by 10%. The leather grip will increase the aim accuracy of your flashlight by 40%. The common battery will extend the battery life of the flashlight by 4 seconds. Moving on to uncommon add-ons, the tear optic remains exactly the same. The rubber grip will increase the aim accuracy of the flashlight by 30% and increase your movement speed while aiming the flashlight by 0.5 meters per second. The low amp filament decreases the battery depletion rate of the flashlight by 20%, but it decreases the beam brightness by 30%. The heavy duty battery will extend the the battery life of the flashlight by 6 seconds, and decrease the blindness duration of the flashlight by 20%. The uncommon focus lens extends the beam reach of the flashlight by 15%, decreases the beam width of the flashlight by 15%. Now we're going to the rare reinforced frame. While blinding a killer, your aura is revealed for 10 seconds. Blinding a killer will grant you the endurance stats effect for 3 seconds. Ornamental grip increases the aim accuracy of the flashlight by 20%. Successfully blinding the killer suppresses scratch marks with blindness duration. The high-end sapphire lens extends the beam reach of the flashlight by 25%, decreases the beam width of the flashlight by 25%. The long life battery extends the battery life of the flashlight by 10 seconds, but decreases the blindness duration by 25%. The intense halogen, blinded killers and survivors suffer from the deafened status effect. The very rare overcharged battery will extend the beam reach of the flashlight by 100%, increase the flashlight depletion rate by 25%, and the flashlight can overheat if it's held or activated too many times. And finally, the iridescent bulb. Blinded killers have their auras revealed to all survivors in the trial, increases the battery depletion rate of the flashlight by 25%. Using the flashlight will cause you to suffer from the hindrance status effect for 5 seconds. And now we're moving on to toolboxes. So toolboxes now require 8 charges to be used to construct a breakable wall. These are not required to construct breakable walls, by the way. You know, if you want to use the toolbox to construct a breakable wall, it's right there. Also, event toolboxes are now based off of the uncommon toolboxes as opposed to the commodious toolbox. So that being said, the common worn out tools, it decreases the volume of noises made by generator pairs by 50%, decreases the good skill check zone by 10%, decreases time to construct breakable walls by 5 seconds, and unlocks the sabotage action and unlocks the build wall action. The worn out toolbox has a capacity of 80 charges. The uncommon toolbox decreases the volume of noise made by generator pairs by 50%, decreases time to construct breakable walls by 5 seconds, increases hook sabotage speed by 10%, unlocks the sabotage action, unlocks the build wall action. The toolbox has a capacity of 40 charges. The mechanics toolbox decreases the volume of noise made by generator pairs by 75%, decreases the audible range of generator pair noises by 8 meters, decreases hook sabotage speed by 10%, unlocks the sabotage action, unlocks the build wall action. The mechanics toolbox has a capacity of 40 charges. Alex's toolbox decreases generator pair speed by 10%, increases hook sabotage speed by 80%, unlocks the sabotage action, unlocks the build wall action, and Alex's toolbox has a capacity of 40 charges. The engineer's toolbox has been moved to rare, and it decreases generator pair speed by 10%, decreases hook sabotage speed by 10%, and increases breakable wall building speed by 10 seconds. This unlocks the sabotage action and unlocks the build wall action. Engineer's toolbox has a capacity of 40 charges. The commodious toolbox increases generator pair speed by 10%, unlocks the sabotage action, unlocks the build wall action, and the commodious toolbox has a capacity of 30 charges. And then finally, we have the specialist toolbox, which merely unlocks the sabotage and build wall action, unlocks the repair pallet action. Repairing a broken pallet takes 15 seconds. Pallets are repaired in the dropped position. Repaired pallets that are broken cannot be repaired again. Repaired pallets are broken by the killer 50% faster. Repaired pallets will be broken after being vaulted 3 times. Repaired pallets will be broken if they are pulled down. And repairing a pallet consumes the specialist toolbox. The specialist toolbox has unlimited charges. So for the first common add-on is spare screwdriver. Shows the aura of the generator you're repairing to other survivors within 16 meters. Scraps reduces the range at which your generator repair noise can be heard by 8 meters. Instructions remains completely the same. Clean rag increases bonuses on great skill checks by an additional 0.5%. Now we move on to the uncommon add-ons, spare parts, which reduces the range at your generator repair noises can be heard by 12 meters. Wire spool suppresses sparks produced while repairing generators. The spring clamp decreases time taken to build breakable walls by 2.5 seconds. The uncommon socket swivels increases bonus on great skill checks by an additional 1%. Cutting wire remains exactly the same as before. Clear instructions, now moving on to the rare category, increases the great skill check zone size by 15%. Grip wrench decreases the volume and noise made by generator pairs by 33%. The hacksaw does exactly as it did before. Protective glove suppresses any loud noise notifications produced while using a toolbox. Very rare scraps of exotic wood increases time taken to repair breakable walls by 2.5 seconds. Increases time taken for killers to destroy breakable walls built with the toolbox by 20%. And for the infamous ultra rare brand new part, now unlocks the repair item interaction. Using a toolbox on an item on the ground or in another survivor's possession will consume the brand new part and fully repair the item. Finally, we are on to the medkits, last of the items, and the first thing is the camping aid kit, the common medkit. Unlocks the self-heal action, have a decreased personal healing speed of 35%, have an increased altruistic healing speed of 35%, and the camping aid kit has a capacity of 24 charges. Next up is the first aid kit and all of the medkits that are based off of it, the event ones. Unlocks a self-heal action, a decreased personal healing speed of 25%, increased altruistic healing speed of 25%. The first aid kit has a capacity of 24 charges. The emergency medkit unlocks the self-heal action and has an increased healing speed, altruistic healing speed of 75%. The emergency medkit has 16 charges. Next up is the ranger medkit. Unlocks the self-heal action, decreased personal healing speed of 35%, increased altruistic healing speed of 25%, increased the good skill check zone by 14%, increase the progression bonus of great healing skill checks by 5%. The Ranger medkit has a capacity of 32 charges. And finally, the Guardian Angel medkit unlocks a self-heal action, increased personal healing speed of 25%, increased altruistic healing speed of 25%. The Guardian Angel medkit has 16 charges. And now we'll be moving on to the add-ons. The common add-on, Bottle of Placebos, grants a 1% bonus progression after hitting a good skill check. The Rubber Gloves decreases good skill check zone by 5%. The Butterfly Tape increases the progression bonus of great healing skill checks by 1.25%. Bandages suppresses all normal skill checks that are usually triggered while healing. And moving on to the uncommon add-ons, we have the Sponge, which removes and suppresses all blood pools produced for the survivor being healed. Self-adherent wrap increases healing speed on survivors in a dying state by 100%. The needle and thread increases the progression bonus on great healing skill checks by 2.5%. Medical scissors removes the healing penalty from missed skill checks. And the gauze roll increases healing speed if the survivor is mangled by 15%. The rare sterilizer prevents the aura of you and the survivor from being red while healing. Burn cream suppresses the sounds of healing and grunts of pain on the survivor being healed. The surgical suture, this word, increases the trigger odds of healing skill checks by 15%, increase the progression bonus of great healing skill checks by 5%, grants 150% bonus blood points for great healing skill checks. The gel dressing suppresses blood pools and scratch marks on the survivor being healed. This effect persists for 15 seconds. Abdominal dressing is exactly the same as it was before. And the Styptic Agent grants the endurance status effect of the survivor you are currently healing, only works on other survivors, increases the recovery rate of blindness, broken, exhausted, exposed, hindered, incapacitated and oblivious status effects by 20% on the survivor being healed, works on other survivors or yourself. And finally, for the ultra rare anti-hemorrhagic syringe, is exactly the same as it was before. And now we finally get onto perks. So if my voice and like I stutter a lot more during this, or you hear some extra noises, or even hear me breathing, it's probably because I didn't edit it out like I usually do with all the rest of my clips, as you may have actually heard. So the first perk is Ace in the Hole. When searching or rummaging through a chest, you are guaranteed to either find a toolbox if there are 3 unrepaired generators in the trial, a map if there are 7 unrepaired generators in a trial, a key if you're the last survivor remaining in a trial, a flashlight if survivor is hooked, a medkit if 2 or more survivors are injured, a random event item if there is an event in progress. Items lower on the list take priority over ones above them. Adrenaline. When the exit gates are powered, instantly heal 1 health state and instantly recover from the exhausted status effect. Aftercare will simply no longer activate if you are rescued or healed by another survivor, but you no longer lose the effect after you are hooked. Any means necessary, you see the auras of dropped pallets. Dropping a pallet no longer produces a loud noise notification. Press and hold the active ability button for 3 seconds while standing at the base of a dropped pallet to reset it to its upright position. Autodidact. You start the trial with 25% progression penalty for skill checks to healing. For every successful skill check completed while healing another survivor, you receive a token for a maximum of 5 tokens. Each token grants you a 15% bonus progression for a successful skill check while healing. Great skill checks cannot be performed while using Autodidact. Autodidact is not active when using a medkit. Considerably increases the frequency of skill checks appearing and decreasing frequency of skill checks after each successful skill check while healing without a medkit. So this essentially means that you cannot gain tokens while using self-care, but you can use it with self-care. Oh, and also show the perk on a survivor HUD while you're healing them. Bite the bullet. While healing yourself another survivor or being healed by another survivor, all grunts of pain and noises related to healing action are suppressed. Failing skill checks do not trigger a loud noise notification, and you no longer suffer from aggression penalty. Blood Pact, just simply add on to the end. If you are the obsession and heal another survivor, or another survivor heals you, they become the obsession. Borrow time, you gain the endurance status effect for 15 seconds after the exit gates are powered. Breakdown, anytime you're removed from a hook, you see the killer's aura for 6 seconds. The hook is permanently broken until you are hooked again. Buckle up, simply adding on to the bottom of this. After healing a survivor from the dying state, they leave no scratch mark, pools of blood, and make no grunts of pain, and cannot have their aura read for 15 seconds. Clairvoyance. Whenever you cleanse a Dull Totem, Clairvoyance gains a token. When empty-handed, press and hold the active ability button to consume a token to unlock your full aura reading potential, allowing you to see the exit gate switches, generators, hooks, chests, totems, and the hatch within 64 meters for 10 seconds. If you have cleansed a hex or warped totem, Clairvoyance will also allow you to track other survivors with 64 meters. Corrective action. It just simply works on yourself each time you or another survivor fails a skill check. Dark Sense. Each time a generator is completed, the killer's aura is revealed to you and any survivors within 8 meters of you for 5 seconds, and for 10 seconds when the last generator is completed. It makes it more of a team-based perk, and, just kind of acts as information for your teammates that happen to be around you as well. Dead Hard. If you do not avoid damage during the dash, you will be unable to perform any interactions for 3 seconds. Decisive Strike. Decisive Strike can activate twice. Deception. You will not leave any scratch mark, pools of blood, and suppress all grunts of pain for the next 3 seconds. So, it just gives you more of an opportunity to escape. Deja Vu. The auras of the 3 generators in closest proximity to one another are revealed to you and survivors within 8 meters of you. Yeah, so it's the same as before. Survivors within 8 meters can also see the gens. Deliverance. Whilst Deliverance is active, the hook timer progresses 50% slower. This essentially means it's actually worth activating Deliverance twice. Desperate Measures. For each hooked survivor, gain 25% bonus to luck and unhooking speed up to a maximum of 100%. This means that if all 4 survivors are hooked, you're basically guaranteed a free self-unhook. Distortion. Distortion activates while your aura is being read to the killer. While Distortion is active, you and any survivors within 8 meters of you will not have the aura shown to the killer. Distortion lasts up to a maximum of 40 seconds per trial. This makes it so that rather than being a token-based system, Distortion is simply lasts for 40 seconds. Once those 40 seconds are up, Distortion's gone forever. Detective's Hunch. It just also reveals the auras to teammates within 8 meters of you. Empathetic Connection. Whenever another survivor is injured, they can see your aura. Increases healing speed by 14% for each survivor injured, hooked, or in the dying state up to a maximum of 56%. I took Desperate Measures and gave it to Empathetic Connection. Flip-flop. 100% of your recovery progression is converted into wiggly progression up to a maximum of 50% once you are picked up by the killer. It makes flip-flop a bit more consistent, but also only goes up to 50%. For the people causes the broken status effect for 90 seconds after using it. If you are not put into the dying state when the broken status effect wears off, you are instantly healed back to full health. If you are put into the dying state, the broken status effect is lost. So it's a risky play, but you also will be able to fully heal yourself after the 90 seconds, which I think is pretty bogus. And if you combine that with Vigil, it's even quicker. Flashbang, just written at the bottom. During certain events, you will instead construct firecrackers. I think it'd just be a really neat little idea. Guardian. When you unhook a survivor, the rescued survivor will benefit from suppressed scratch marks, pools of blood, and grunts of pain, and having their aura revealed for 8 seconds. They gain a 50% haste effect for 8 seconds. Guardian reveals the killer's aura to you and the rescued survivor for 8 seconds. It's a buff to Guardian. What can I say? Hope. As soon as the exit gates are powered, you gain a 7% haste status effect for the remainder of the trial. There's no reason Hope should have a time limit. Inner Healing. Each time you cleanse a totem, Inner Healing gains a token. A token is consumed after hiding a locker for 8 seconds to fully heal 1 health state. I think it'd just be nice if it was a token system rather than what it is now. Kinship. If another survivor is within 60 meters of you while you are hooked, the hook progression timer is paused. It works for both first and second stage basically. Left Behind. If you are the only survivor remaining in the trial, Left Behind activates. While active, you gain the self-heal action. Healing no longer produces noise, your aura is hidden from the killer, your repair generator is 100% faster, and the aura of Hatch is revealed to you within 28 meters. It's just a basic buff to help you maybe escape if you happen to be the last person left. Lightweight. In addition to what it does now, the sounds of footsteps are reduced by 75%. Metal of Man. Gain a token every time you perform a protection hit or rescue a carried survivor with a stun or blind. After gaining 3 tokens, Metal of Man activates. It's as simple as that. It basically just means that you have additional avenues to activate Metal Man that requires your riskier plays. No Mither activates when you're injured for the first time, and while you're injured, your grunts of pain are reduced by 100%, and you can recover while crawling. No one left behind once the last generator is completed, then it activates, rather than it being active during the endgame collapse. Off the record activates for the next 40 seconds. Your aura will not be shown to the killer if they attempt to read it. Your pools of blood and scratch marks are suppressed. When injured, grunts of pain are reduced by 100%. Suppresses the urge to scream, prevents you from disturbing crows. So it also acts as a calm spirit along with an iron will and a distortion. It's all mixed into one that you can activate twice. Pharmacy, in addition to what it does now, any medkit you find in the chest will come with the adrenaline shot limited add-on. Press the secondary action button while healing with a medkit to use the adrenaline shot. Increases your movement speed by 5% for 16 seconds, increases volume and grunts of pain by 25% while sprinting for 16 seconds, increases the volume of breathing by 50% for 16 seconds, causes you to become exhausted for 20 seconds, and you will also wake up from the dream world, and it can be used on either yourself or other survivors, and it consumes the add-on upon use. It gives Pharmacy a unique effect that goes beyond just the first chest you find, and also fits the lore. Poised, after a generator is completed, you gain a 5% haste status effect, and you, along with any survivors within 8 meters of you, will not leave any scratch marks for the next 10 seconds. Similar for just a little basically a mini hope. Parental guidance. After stunning the killer by any means, parental guidance suppresses your scratch marks, pools of blood, and grunts of pain for the next 10 seconds. It's basically reversing the nerve from the PTB. Boon Premonition. Receive a notification when the killer is within 24 meters of Boon Premonition. If the killer is within 24 meters of Boon Premonition, your grunts of pain and breathing volumes are decreased by 75%. Whenever Boon Premonition is applied to a hex totem, it becomes a warped totem and will grant 9% increase to repair, healing, totem cleansing, window, pallet vaulting, and exit opening and unhooking speeds for 5 seconds to everyone on the trial. Every 30 seconds, the killer is within 24 meters of Boon Premonition. So enough, it's a generic boon perk. I kind of think it's needed, and with how outclassed Premonition is by Spine Chill, I think it'd be nice to make that the boon perk. I don't know if it fits, but I think it's just a really neat way of reworking it into something more useful. Prove thyself. While repairing a generator, your aura cannot be read to the killer. This effect is also applied to survivors repairing the same generator as you. This effect persists for 10 seconds, and you obviously still get the increase in blood points. Red Herring, instead, will just simply activate after crouching for 5 seconds. Renewal. The next time you are unhooked or unhook yourself, you will heal when the broken status effect wears off. If you are not broken when you are unhooked, Renewal will apply the broken status effect for 20 seconds. While Renewal is active, the following conditions will deactivate it: successfully being healed by Renewal, being put into the dying state before the broken status effect ends. It just simply means it has more synergy with other perks such as Deliverance and Vigil. Resilience. When injured, your action speeds in repairing, healing, sabotaging, unhooking, cleansing, and opening speeds are increased by 9%. Saboteur. The sabotage action has a cooldown of 45 seconds upon a successful sabotage. Self-care. Reveals your aura to your teammates when you perform the self-care action, in addition to what it already does. Self-preservation. While another survivor is being chased within 60 meters, scratch marks, grunts of pain, when injured, and bleeding are suppressed and gain a 5% haste effect outside of a chase. It's as simple as that. You're hiding, killer is running to survivor, they're being chased in 60 meters, you get an opportunity to escape, as long as you're not being chased yourself. Slippery Meat. After being unhooked, you break into a sprint of 150% of your normal running movement speed for a maximum of 3 seconds. Slippery Meat causes the exhaustion status effect for 40 seconds. It's your generic exhaustion perk, and since I kind of made Desperate Measures basically outclass Slippery Meat, I reworked Slippery Meat into a generic exhaustion perk. Smash Hit will simply activate when you do any stun, which in base game is Pallet Stun, and with perks, Decisive. It wouldn't work with a head-on because head-on applies the exhaustion status effect. Soul Survivor. Every time a survivor is sacrificed or killed, you see the killer's aura for 30 seconds. It's as simple as that. I don't think it will still be any good, but it will at least be better than what it is now. Solidarity will simply heal you at a 100% conversion rate, and you can, when you're healing another survivor, the survivor sees the perk icon on their HUD. Spine Chill. Your skill check trigger odds are increased by 15%. And obviously in addition to what it does now. And I've removed the success zone debuff and the action speed buff. Sprint Burst will simply activate after sprinting for 3 seconds. Stakeout. All great skill checks grant an additional 1% progression bonus, so it has an effect even if you don't have tokens. Streetwise. Consumption rate is reduced by 50%. Streetwise does not stack with itself, it's just to make the perk a bit more consistent and a bit more useful with one person just using it on their own. Technician. Simply just remove the addition regression penalty to miss skill checks. It's not really worth it at that point. Up the ante, gain a token every minute you are alive in the trial, up to a maximum of 5 tokens. Each token increases the luck of all survivors of the trial by 10%. All tokens are lost when you are killed. With the luck rework, I think this will be a pretty decent perk. Urban Evasion reduces distance, grunts of pain, and breathing can be heard by 8 meters while crouched or in a locker. It's just a small little buff that may hopefully help it do its job a little better. And finally, Visionary. You see the auras of generators within 32 meters. You could determine the progress of generator repairs by the intensity of its aura. The aura of the generator will be highlighted in yellow if it is being worked on. The aura of the generator will be white if it is blocked. Anytime a generator is completed, Visionary is disabled for 16 seconds. It simply allows you to actually see the state of the generator before you get to it. Still not a super useful perk, but definitely not more useful than it is now. And that is absolutely everything for the survivor changes. So I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought below. And the video after this will be the killer base kit video. And then every subsequent video after that, like the next 27 sort of videos, will be all about each different killer and what I would do personally to them. And I hope you join me for that. And but apart from that, have a wonderful day, and I will see you later.